BotCon is quickly approaching, which means the club is putting out little samplings of all of their box set offerings, and oh my god, I cannot believe the lack of creativity going on. Okay, now, to be fair, you might like it. I personally don't, but that's not a bad thing. It's all just opinion, so no one start any arguments or wars over this. But, I mean, okay, I'll give you this. Pack Rat's neat. You're bringing back an old character. Like that. Okay, Battle Trap. I will give you that. That's a really clever use of that mold. But, really, we're going to use Reveal the Shield Jazz again. One of the best molds in the last decade. We're going to use it for a second time, and it's going to be another Shattered Glass character nobody gives a flip about. And then we're going to bring over the Breakdown mold that never saw a release in America, and we're just going to make it another Megatron. And it's a Megatron based on the Megatron that most collectors don't like. I don't understand it. And you know what's really infuriating about some of those club toys? Every now and then they have moments of brilliant ideas that make me aware that they are capable of so much more. And that is the subject of today's random review. A moment of brilliantness. This is Thrustinator from, I believe, Series 2 of the subscription service. As you can see, it is the most manic Transformer toy you will ever witness. This thing is completely psychotic, and I love it. It is half green bee parts and half mechanical pink. Okay, so different story here. There's a lot of stories behind this toy, so we'll try to buzz through them. No pun intended there. So over in Japan, they released these toys in Beast Wars 2, which were cyber beasts, like this guy. This is Thrustor. As you can see, they took a Beast Wars mold, remolded it with cyborg parts, and made it this awesome hybrid of beast and machine. Kind of like a beast machine, but done way better than the ones we got. I love these things. I've only got 2 of them, because the others are so hard to find. But oh my god, they're cool toys. And the club saw that and decided, hey, you know the ending of Beast Machines when Waspinator was flying around with Thrust's head? Spoiler alert for a show that's like 15 years old at this point. Yeah, let's actually make a toy of that using that mold. And here we go. And it's a brilliant idea. It is absolutely amazing. Okay, so it is based on Thrust's toy colors, so it's a much brighter pink than it was in the show, and he comes with a lot of yellow as well, which I actually like because it does tie in with Waspinator's yellow, melding the two halves together quite nicely in one unifying color. Now, the bug side is still done very, very nicely. The bee parts are all stripy in the butt. And, of course, in the head, the mandible. Let's go with mandible here. I'm trying to get better at my bug parts. The one grievance a lot of people had was that yellow bug eye, since it really doesn't fit, and it kind of detracts from like the insectoid and the realistic nature of this side. So that one's a little disappointing. But as you can see, tons of mechanical details as well as Thrust side shows off. A lot of silver paint going onto that pink plastic in order to create the look. A lot of little yellow spots and some clever paint job that actually mimics some of the details on his original toy. Now, mold-wise, while I love this mix of the organic and the machine, this is actually better done than some Transmetal and Transmetal 2s, much more up my aesthetic angle. There are grievances that the original mold just has built in, like the rear legs. Yeah, they had to do something with the robot mode legs, and rather than make them out of the abdomen section of the bee, which they apparently wanted to keep intact for robot mode, yeah, they just kind of made it the back legs. So, yeah, they're not all that convincing. Now, the cool thing about this toy is, as you saw before, and as I have unfortunately unpegged, handling it around, it can actually stand on its bug legs. Now, in Beast Wars, this was really rare. So the fact that it can manage this is amazing. And yeah, those rear legs, they're not helping at all. Like, they're not carrying any weight. It is all on the legs that are attached to the thorax section. So Yeah, it's a pretty serviceable mode. I do dig this mix. Now, I will admit the pink plastic really takes away from the cyborg nature that the original Cyber Beast kind of brings in, but it is such a cool idea to combine Thrust and Waspinator in this toy. Really, really brilliant idea. Now, for action features in this mode, yeah, this is all articulated here, but since it doesn't really do much, you aren't really going to get much out of it. The wings are ball jointed, so you can raise and lower them or swoop them forward or back, depending on how your preference is. But for real play value, you'll notice on the underside, he stores missiles, just like the original Waspinator. But, unlike him, he does not have to wait for robot mode to fire them. That cannon flips forward, and you either have a cool gunnery mode, or you can fire out missiles at unsuspecting Maximals or Autobots or whatever this guy fights, because I'm genuinely not sure at this point. But it's a nice little action feature that they worked into the remold. That is cool. Now let's talk robot mode. That means we talk transformation. We will get these unpegged, flip the pelvis over. There's a lot of flipping going on in order to get this right. And there it is. The legs will go this way, and this will all fold up. Actually, we need to rotate these around to create the actual knee joints of the toy, and then close it up, which I think I forgot to do. Yeah, I forgot to do that on the other side. Professional toy reviewer extraordinaire, TJOmega. How you doing, guys? How you doing? So, there, we've successfully transformed his groin. We'll undo the arms, which it is a Series 1 Beast Wars toy, so it's not the most complex thing in the world to transform. I will admit, I like that he kind of has an old-fashioned G1. The front becomes the chest kind of transformation, so that's really neat. Oh man, he's pegged in really, really solid there. Hang on. Don't want to break the tab on this. And this pegs in. There's a central piece that this all pegs into, and sometimes it goes in easy, sometimes it does not. And this time it's because I'm doing this on camera, it chooses not to go easy. We'll make the wings a little bit more presentable here and put the head forward. And that is our robot mode for Thrustinator. Just as manic as the robot mode, and in a lot of ways, a little bit easier to see just how manic it actually gets. And this toy is absolutely ludicrous. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is the head, because you have got to see this head. You seriously do if you've never seen this. Oh, look at it. Here, we'll angle it up so you can see it a little bit better. Look at that. Man, that's a new head sculpt. Look how freakish that is. I mean, the upper half is like Waspinator on his right side and Thrust on his left, and then it's the opposite on the bottom. You can even see like one of Waspinator's little mandibles and then Thrust mouthpiece. Oh, and then you got the antenna on top, but you've also got the crest from... Oh, I love this head sculpt. Like, this is so good. And it's so well painted to get that across. I mean, this mold would just, like, absolutely crumble if the head mold wasn't painted correctly, and they did a brilliant job getting it all right. It is seriously, like, one of the best head sculpts I've ever seen the club do. Absolutely outstanding. And it's one, it's hard for me to praise them these days, but in that I will. I really like how the chest comes out here too. As you can see, the one side being Wasp, the other side being Thrust. It works really well to convey the split personality and split nature of this toy, and I like the new mechanical details it shows off too. It is a Predacon rather than half Pred, half Viacon. That's a little bit disappointing, but I guess just for the sake of categorizing him, you have to make him one or the other, right? Well, good as it's gonna get. He doesn't really show many new parts in this mode. It's mostly transitioned from Beast mode. I do like all the extra mechanical details on the underside of the wing, which even the hollowed out sections kind of make it look good and kind of give it more of a manic and unrefined feel. It's like he's kind of cobbled together. Like, this is just a freakish accident of Cybertronian technology, which is pretty much what he is. I will say I'm missing a little bit of pink or yellow in the arms. Like, these arms look straight up Waspinator on both sides, and it's really not the case because they are molded to be asymmetrical too. This side's far more mechanical than this side is. And I really could have used an extra hit of pink or yellow to kind of bring thrust in on that section. Because, you can see, like here on the thigh, all this pink plastic and machine detail, all bug over here. So it's kind of, it does this like half on one side, half on the other, all the way, all through everywhere except for the arms. Which, though I guess the wings balance that out now, don't they? So, okay, you know what? We'll give it to them. For play value, we can remove his, it's a section of his butt. Let's not cross hairs about this. Crosshairs? We won't cross hairs or split hairs. We won't do either. We'll leave all hairs alone. Easter's over after all. And we give him his weapon, which actually, besides the pink, looks quite like his original Beast Wars weapon. And of course, these missiles also fit into there to fire off stingers. So that's good. But if we want a little extra firepower, if you remember from the original Beast Wars toy... Oh, you're kidding me. And abrupt jump cut because some stupid auto dialer decided my phone needed to ring right in the middle of a recording. And I really don't want to have to go through the whole thing all over again. So we're going with it. So, extra firepower, as I was saying. If you recall, the original Beast Wars toy, since it was Beast Wars in the first year toy, had a mutant head gimmick. Well, that's been spliced out of this toy. Instead, we can move... Hang on. I gotta get some parts out of the way to do this. We can fold that bit down. That can come back down now. And rotate the entire core around to bring the gun forward and give him an artillery mode. And yes, it is absolutely stupid, and he has to look at his groin the entire time while he's using this cannon. But you know what? To rework the engineering from the mutant head gimmick into something completely different, I will give them credit. This is actually a really cool reuse of that engineering. And yes, this was on Thrustor as well. So this isn't me praising the club. This is me praising whatever maniac at Takara thought to do this in the first place. Because, I love the Cyber Beasts. Seriously, some of the coolest toys that we never got in America. And it's a crying shame. So... yeah, I guess I can finish off on articulation because there is something to note here. Ball-jointed neck works all the way around. Ball-jointed shoulders. The biceps do have a rotation. Great elbows. They are the kind of floaty hinge on top elbows, but they still kind of work. The hips, well, good range. There's a few positions outward that you can't quite get into, but you get a little bit of working and it still works out. And then there are the knees, and this is where things kind of fall apart on the toy. Yeah, this mold's seen a lot of use, and rumor is clubs use child molds that are pretty close to the end of their lifespan anyway, so the joint tolerances sometimes don't quite come out, and this is one of those cases. You'll notice that I've had Thrustinator in my hand since he got to robot mode, because getting him into any kind of standing position in robot mode is... quite difficult to do. Now here's the weird thing. On the leg, there is a hole that's supposed to peg into that and secure the leg together. But across like 3 versions of this mold I have now, I've never had one that can actually accomplish that and make the leg solid. So even if the ball joint on his knees weren't weak, that position can tend to be weak, which means he's prone to tipping backward on 2 different levels, which is a really unfortunate thing because it makes him very hard to put on a shelf unless there's someone propping behind him, or unless you figure out some way of tripoding him, which of course with a removable butt is kind of possible. But that is TFCC Thrustinator. Yes, stop, and that's the last time I'm mentioning the name, so you can stop giggling at it now. I will admit, it makes me giggle too. He's a really brilliant reuse of a mold. Really inspired idea, and really good new head. This is one of the few times I can absolutely commend the club for stunning levels of creativity. Creating a toy I never realized I wanted in the first place. And you know what? It's at least 1 release of a Cyber Beast in America. That makes 2 that they've actually managed to get us. Can someone please tell me why Dirge Gun was never released as one of Tarantulas' Cyber Raptors? Is it just me that finds that to be like the most obvious use of that mold ever? Well, someday, if we can get this guy, maybe we can get that mold at some point. If it stands up. Well, good ending.